Hello, Kritesh. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Adi. So, you people, can ask the questions now. I can see a message from Maltesh. Hi, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Can you please, everyone, confirm that that I'm audible to you and I'm visible to you? Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let me start with the questions quickly. Like from India, this question is from India. So I want to know what is the chi-square test. See, if you want to identify, if you want to know the correlation between two categorical variables, then we will apply chi-square test. So based on the result, then we can say that whether the two categorical variables are related or not. So that's what about chi-square test. Uh, Unable to visible, admin. Can you please summarize the native? Can you please summarize the NaviBase method, please? So this question is from Maltesh. Actually, Maltesh, can you please specify like which section of it like you're not able to understand? Okay, NaviBase deals with So in order see, I can give you the high level introduction. If you still don't get it from video, then let me know. I will give you one tutorial. Okay, any kind of online article which you can easily understand. And one more thing that what I will be doing is, so if at all you want any kind of material or like any kind of articles which are related to particular topic, then parallelly I'll be noting on my notebook. So just give me a moment. I'll be noting on my notebook so that at the end of the session I can forward the all corresponding links. Okay. So basically I'll give you the high level idea about NaviBase. So all of you might have aware about the Bayes theorem, like which works based on the conditional probability. Okay. So in order to understand NaviBase, you just need to drill some mathematical concepts like, okay, what is Bayes theorem? Okay, what is conditional probability? In what way that it is getting calculated? So if you try to understand one or two mathematical problem, then you can easily understand the NaviBase method. So generally we use only for mostly like classification problems. So in terms of classification, NaviBase provides like reasonable results. So rather than the others. So this is what the high level idea about NaviBase. So let me know if you still need it, then I will forward you the article. Yes, Gautam Pal, yeah, it is audible, yes. May know admin unable to visible you. Please reconnect. Yes, Maltesh. So I'll be noting down. Just let me note down so I can give you. So parallelly, I will note down here. So you need an article about NaviBase. Yeah. So yes, please forward the article. Okay, sir. What is the data frame in R programming language? So data frame is nothing but which is of like two-dimensional object which has columns and rows. Okay. So if you want to store the object in the form of table, then we have to go for data frame. So any object in either R, in Python, whatever it is. So it's like if you want to deal with data, so you need to have proper columns and rows, right? So that data frame is that is a data structure which can have that facility, so that you can perform your operations column wise and as well as row wise. So this is same in R and Python programming language. So can you please explain what is gain and lift charts are used? Okay, so this also I'll be sending you an article. So basically, if you want to see any kind of lift chart or like gain chart, so you just need to understand with an example of a particular chart. So what is like before prediction, after prediction, and before applying the model and after applying the model. So this also I'll be sending you an article. Okay, or else you can specify what exactly you didn't understand, from this. Then I can take it up. ROC curve usage. ROC curve, region of convergence. See, whenever you draw a curve, so ideally the area under the ROC curve should be 1. This is the ideal case. Okay. So, but see, whenever you draw the ROC curve, then what you try to, so based on the output that you get, right? So you just need to see how well your model performs. So based on the area under that curve. Okay. So that is where if your area is closer to 1, then you can say that ROC curve gives, that model is yielding you the maximum, accuracy. What are criteria of goodness of fit, like, so Akeka criteria. So goodness of fit is always like, see, if you take, Akeka or whatever the models you take. So goodness of it is always like which is giving you the minimal error. So that we will be taking for it. So how does the multicollinearity affects NaviBase? See, multicollinearity, if you see NaviBase especially, it is a conditional probability, like the probability of one variable given other variable, right? If one variable, so if two variables are collinear, okay, then what happens, so multicollinear, so what happens, so if you are calculating the probability based on the other variable, then so if one variable is getting affected, other variable is also getting affected, so that ultimately it is affecting your model. So is there any data type which stores multiple data frames in R or Python? So I don't think that we have a data type which can store, multiple data frames at a time. You just you can play with the data frames, like, so you can converge them, like, and you can merge the data sets and all, but storage of multiple data frames is not possible. Hi sir, you will be sending the other article to only the candidates or for everyone if you need it? So actually, I'll be sending to Kritesh, who is organizing this session, so that he can forward to maybe all of you. So maybe, or else whomever is required, then we can forward to you only. So if you want to define number of trees to be built in random forest, then how many trees random forest internally creates? So by default, if you take R programming language, so it will create nearly 500 trees. Okay. If you take uh, Python programming language, so even so, in order to implement this, so if you are going for decision tree or random forest, which one? Random forest, right? So random forest, so in Python what we do is, generally, so the idea that you have to understand before creating any kind of number of trees. So if you take Python, it will take only 10 trees by default. Okay, so that is what in R it is 500, in Python it's 10. Yes, so somebody wanted to know what is ANOVA. So ANOVA test, if you want to know, then yes, I'll be sending the article to ANOVA as well. I am noting ANOVA test article. How to know which problem from classification and regression? See, how to know which problem is from classification and regression? So see, always we will classify the problem based on your target variable. If your target variable is numerical or continuous, okay, like if suppose that if your target variable is price, which you want to predict, So or else it is a kind of weight. So this kind of numeric or continuous values, so that problem we will be classifying it as a regression problem. If the target variable is the classifier, so it's like categorical variable, like which contains some categories, like okay, if your target variable is type of customer, like type of customer, the values will be gold, platinum, and this kind of thing, right? So if your target variable is I mean categorical, then you will be classifying that problem under classification. So if your target variable is numerical, then it is a regression problem. Thank you. Hi Adi, you can send the links in the chart also. Kritesh, I'll be sending at the end of the session, but not in the, right now I don't have them handy, so I can find a good article for them and I can send them. Okay. Can we have more than one dependent variable in a data set? So you can have more than one dependent variable in data set, but you cannot perform multiple, independent variable analysis at a time. You in the data set, you can contain multiple dependent variable, but you have to go for each and every variable separately when it comes to analysis. So no, in Python latest version is checking 100 trees. Of course, maybe because the latest actually 3.7 version, I think the latest version, so it might have been upgraded. Yes. So can you please define assumptions for implementing linear regression? See, so if you want to define the linear, assumptions for linear regression, especially, there are like so priority. So on priority, what you have to check is that first you need to check the linear relationship between the target variable and your independent variable, which is like your dependent and independent variables should be linearly dependent. Otherwise, there is no, you really cannot even, if there is no linear relationship exists between target variable and independent variable, each and every individual variable, then there is no point of building linear regression. So that is your first condition, and no multicollinearity. So there should not be any multicollinearity in between two independent variables. Okay. So that is your second assumption. So multivariate normality. Multivariate normality is your third assumption, which you need to check. Like all your numerical variables should be, so normally distributed. So that is your third assumption. So these are the basic three assumption, and one more thing is no autocorrelation. So you have to check the autocorrelation as well. So these are the four assumptions which you have to check before applying any kind of linear regression model. Okay, if you are applying without checking these four things, then your model is useless. Okay, so these are the four assumptions. Once you build the model, or after building the model also, you have to check like, okay, like homoscedasticity, like all error terms should be properly distributed, like they should not depend on each other. So these are the assumptions that you need to check for linear regression before you apply. Okay. What is the criteria to decide the target variable? So target variable is nothing but what you want to find it out. Okay, so I'll tell you whether you may have the target variable in the given data, or you may not have the target variable in the given data. Okay, maybe the thing is people can give you 10 variables. Okay, so out of these 10 variables, so your target variable which you wanted to find out is your sum of the first three variables, or like sum of the 10 variables you can see. Okay, in that case you have to derive your target variable. If you have any kind of formula, or if you have any kind of rule based system, you can only generate your target variable, or else by which, so based on the problem statement, like if you want to predict the number of bike renters, so that is your target variable. Like you just need to understand your business problem first, and then you can find out your target variable. Sometimes there is a chance that you may not have a target variable in the data, where you can generate the target variable simply by using a formula or any kind of rule. Okay, how to choose feature engineering and train the model. See, feature engineering is always not necessary, like so whatever the existing features are there, so based on that you will try to derive the new features. So that will be calling it as feature engineering. Okay, so it is like sometimes only it is required, like if you have meaningful information. Let's suppose in your data you might be having date of birth and date of birth, and and like, okay, a death rate also, birth rate and death rate you have in your data. But if you see that in your data, or like according to your problem, if you see that if I derive the age between these two variables, like if you know death rate and birth date, so we just subtract these two and you can get age. So if you think that age will give you the more meaningful information, then you will do the feature engineering part. So which will also, you think that it enhances your training model. Okay, so another thing that, okay, anyhow, if it is a categorical variable, then yeah, you will be doing one hard encoding, but I don't really call it as feature engineering. But sometimes if you have very like the larger scale variable, if you take like, which is of like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, or 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 2 millions, like that. In those cases, so in order to reduce the computational parameter, then you can apply the log. You can apply, sometimes you can apply exponential, sometimes apply log. So these are the new features which need to be generated, but always it is not necessarily generated. So if you train the model based on this feature, then your model accuracy will be more, whereas your computation performance will be less, and time complexity will be less. Now, guys, whosoever need the links, you can raise a mail to support@edwisor.com. We will provide you the links on the mails. Okay. Yes, Kritesh is saying that people need to send support@edwisor.com. You please send the email. So I'll be sending the articles links according to this. Okay. So what is the reason behind the conversion of data type? Conversion of data type is always like, see, so there are certain rules. Okay, so let's take age parameter. Okay, so you cannot put age parameter in like a generic. So generic in the sense, in my sense, it is always character. Okay, character, we can take it as a generic data type, because you can write anything that you want, whether it is a numeric value, whether it is a categorical value, whatever it is, you can simply write it out, right? But so you really cannot maintain a age variable, or if you take date variable, or so some of the weight variable. So these kind of variables you cannot maintain in character, because age cannot be a character at all. Okay, if you still maintain that, then there is a probability that others can enter that value, and which is like invalid use case of your business. Okay, and one more thing is that, let's suppose number of people. So I have still, I mean, I still, if you take numeric, so you might be getting a doubt like, okay, why integer and again float, right? Let's take number of people. Number of people I can only enter, there might be like 5 people, 10 people, 15 people. Okay, so if I started defining like float data type for this, okay, do you think that 3.5 people exist, 3.2 people exist? So it is not possible, right? So that is how, in order to differentiate your data, I mean, make standards in your data types are required, and these are the building blocks of any kind of programming language. Can you please explain where log is used? So log is nothing but always see, whenever you want to reduce your scaling of your data, then you can use log. Is there no missing value? Then it needed to find out mean, median, and mode. Is there? If there is a no missing value, then it need to find out mean, median, and mode. No, it's not required. So it's like, see, the basically mean, median, mode, if you want to find out for any columns, it will give you the information about that variable. Okay, so if you have the if you have any values or like missing values in your data, then you can impute with any of these things. But by default, why we'll check mean, median, mode is, we will come to know an idea about that particular variable. Let's take height. So if you take average of it, so it doesn't make, okay, whether you have any values or not, but if you simply take average of it, like average is like 5.4, then I'll be understanding that most of the people are like closer to this height. This is a mean of the variable. So you can understand the variable. So that is why you require to compute mean, median, mode, but not always for only impute missing values. What level of mathematics is needed for data science? See, the mathematics is that if you want to drill down, okay, if you want to, let me tell you, okay, if you want to build a basic, if you want to handle any kind of data science project, then what I can say is you don't require, like, you don't need to be master in your mathematics, okay? You just need to understand the basic statistical steps and, graphical interfaces. That's it. So it's not like, if you're going to do any kind of PhD or something, yes, you have to go and drill down, and you need to understand, what is the math behind each and every formula. But here, so if you take any model, you just need to understand in a mathematical point of view. If I say, okay, you just need to understand why this is yielding this. So this is a formula that by default you will be taking it, but you don't really care about to derive that formula. You don't really think that, okay, from where I got this formula. Okay, so my point of view, only statistics are required and probability is required for this data science. Okay, but that too, not you cannot be always a master about this, that you just need to understand the basic level, okay, understanding, and then you just need to have analytical skills. That's it. And Vikas Rauda, thank you, sir. Assumptions for linear regression should be checked between dependent and independent variable, or always like assumptions for linear regression should be checked between dependent and independent variables, or between independent variables only. See, as I told you, the first assumption is linearity check. Linearity check you have to check in between independent and dependent variable. But if you come to next second step, okay, no multicollinearity. Multicollinearity, you just need to check between two independent variables. I mean, any two independent variables. So you have to do both. You have to check between independent and dependent, and as well as dependent and dependent also. So based on your assumption. So multivariate normality. So you have to check independent variables in this case. Only independent variable, you just need to check the normal distribution. So you have to do both. Can you please brief about hyperparameters? See, hyperparameters are, see, whatever the model that you build by default today, okay, whether it is a random forest, whether it is a decision tree, or whether it is any kind of model, okay, whatever the machine by default it builds, it is not always the optimum model. Okay, you can still improvise your model or optimize your model, or you can improve the performance, or you can improve the accuracy of your model. So how that comes with the, I mean, that this answer the question of like hyperparameters for each and every model. So if you take any model, this is just a mathematical formula which has implemented. So any kind of model, or it is a mathematical formula or mathematical series of mathematical steps which are implemented as an algorithms, right? So let's suppose if you take x plus y equal to 5. So you can always toggle between x and y. X and y here are your hyperparameters, right? Like that, only for each and every model, there are hyperparameters like this. If you take, random forest here, number of trees and number of variables need to be considered. These two, you can try to play with this, and you can try to, improve. So based on these two, so this is called hyperparameter. So if you are concentrating on tuning of your model, tuning is nothing but optimizing your model, then this comes into picture. So hyperparameters are like hyperparameter tuning, generally we'll be calling. Is it ethical to perform feature engineering on target variable? It is not ethical to perform feature engineering on target variable, because I'll tell you, okay, so today you have your training data. In your training data, you have your target variable. So tomorrow when you, so let's suppose you have done some operations or feature engineering based on the target variable. Okay, so you have subtracted something from target variable and you have derived the feature. But if you take your test data, if you want to derive the same variable, how can you derive? In the test data, you will not have target variable with you. Then how can you subtract some certain value from target variable? Or how can you do any kind of manipulation with this target variable? So that feature engineering it is not ethical, and it's invalid completely. Because it only have in training data, you will not have that in testing data. What if we masters only in Python, not in Python, and are both? See, any programming language, if you master, the other would be very easy. So I I mean, first concentrate on any of these, but as far as advisor is concerned, they are teaching you both, right? You can master in any of that, and other is something like it's not far deviated, so you can easily understand. At least first concentrate on one. What is pruning? See, pruning is nothing but, so when you're building your decision tree, right? So what will happen, overfitting problem is always a problem for decision tree. It's like it will exactly fit to your training data. You know what will happen if it exactly fit your training data? So it is like, always be like it will be always biased. Okay, it can be it. So if you're training any model, it means that it has to learn the generalization of that particular, the patterns. So what are the patterns that you're providing? You have to learn the generalized patterns out of that. Okay, so that is where overfitting comes into picture. In order to handle the overfitting, so pruning is one of the method which can, like, some of the branches you can try to remove, or you can try to club. So this kind of things can be added. So if you want a detailed article, yes, I'll be sending you the graphical, interface of this pruning. So I'll be adding that to my list. Pruning. Yes. And then, so if the target variable consists of outliers or any values, how to deal with those? See, if your target variable is having any values, so better to avoid those rows. Okay, because don't try to manipulate your target variable at any cost, because you cannot do it that step always, right? But if you're trying to manipulate it, if you see, some people might be, asking why we cannot do it. So if you do it, you are unnecessarily including them in your, so maybe you'll be using mean, median, mode. So you are trying to make your target variable biased. So that is why it is not at all recommended to impute any target, any values or any kind of outliers to deal with your target variables. So if you have outliers, yes, there are separate methods to deal with it, but not missing values. What is the criteria to choose between decision tree and random forest before implementing the model and comparing the performance? See, decision tree, random forest, there is something like difference is only one thing. Okay, so if you take, random forest, if you take decision tree, then there are some, predefined algorithm it is. Okay, so even if you want to go for secot or like, a basic method is, so it's like always okay if you want to go for any kind of nodes and sub nodes, or like which variable that you need to take it as, like head node, subsequent sub nodes and all. There is a particular thing which is written, like particular guidelines are there. You just need to follow and have to do that. But let's take random forest. Random forest is, it also builds the decision trees. Okay, but not always like what you're thinking. Okay, so it's like what it will do is it will randomly create multiple trees. So if you take decision tree, if you take any of the predefined method, then you can only create one decision tree. Okay, but in case of random forest, what it will do, it will take multiple multiple combinations, multiple number of variables, multiple number of trees, and then, so based on that, there is it will also, what the speciality of random forest is. So even when you feed the model a training data, what it will do, it will build one tree, and for it will be like, okay, let's take 100 trees it will build. Okay, what it will do is, whatever the training data that you will pass to random forest model is, it internally, divides like 2/3 to 1/3. Okay, like already 2/3 of data it will be using as a training data, and it will build number of trees, right? And it will use 1/3 of data internally by, so it will be doing internal calculation by itself. Like 1/3 of data it is passing it as a testing model, testing and data, and it will fit to each and every, tree, and then based on whichever is having the minimum error, then it will select that particular tree and give you the outputs of that. So this is how your random forest will work. Okay, so in that way you can expect more, so in terms of accuracy for random forest in terms of, see, what is eigenvalues and eigenvectors? See, eigenvalues or eigenvectors are nothing but, so these are the mathematical things. Or so if you have any kind of matrix, so these are the mathematical values which you can give you like eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So if you want to know the method how to calculate eigenvalue and eigenvector, yes, I can send you that article as well. So basically, eigenvalues and eigenvectors, in real-time scenario, so you can try to understand, like, see, in order to represent one particular matrix, so if you have to represent a particular matrix, so if I find the eigenvalues and represent these values, I mean, if I give you these values and this is a representation, okay, so this is a representation of that particular matrix. So this is a physical significance of eigenvalue, eigenvector. So other than that, it is the mathematical calculations. Okay. Can you please suggest me some books and materials so to understand data science? Yes, I have noted this as well. Books to understand data science. And then, so we should so we should only treat outliers in target variable. Yes. So the outliers, no, treating in the sense, don't try to replace with those anything. Like, okay, again you will treating in the sense the way that you take might be different. Analysis perspective, take them in different way. Okay, what you can do is you can try to replicate more outliers in your data, like doing up sampling or down sampling, and you can perform your analysis so that especially when outlier comes, you can separate model can be built for outliers. So not along combined with them, because there are many ways to treat, but what I prefer, is that, so we will build two models, one model for without outliers, one model for with outliers. So if you find it is outlier, then better you can try to create a downsampling or upsampling samples, and try to build a model with that, then it can give you the maximum accuracy. What is this? VIF of DF of minus 16 error in contrast temp value. What is this? Contrast can be applied only factors with two or more levels. So the error clearly saying that, I have not seen the data, but yeah. So based on the error, that what I can say, that is that, so it can only apply between, so if you have more than two factors, then only you can apply. So if you have a single factor in your data, you cannot apply that. Okay. Hi guys, please fill feedback form below. It will help us to improve. Okay. So Kiritosh is saying to fill you the feedback form so that it can improve the, we can improve. So based on your feedback, so what need to be, discussed and all. This is the error what I'm facing while performing regression. Okay. So what is I think the above error is that, okay. So based on the error, that what I can say is you can only apply that for if you have factor is nothing but level. Okay, let's take if you have a factor for your data target variable is like platinum customer, gold customer, and bronze customer, whatever the customer it is. So if you're having only single level, okay, if your data is completely like bronze customer or completely like platinum customer, it cannot be applied. So that is what it is saying. As a non-programmer, what is easiest way to learn an R and Python language? Because video is not working to me. There is no shortcut that exists to learn any kind of programming language. At least try to learn the basics. Okay, first you start maybe start with your data types and then simple functions and all. So there is no shortcut that you can do like R and Python. At least if you can understand, what it will do. You may not remember, syntaxes and all, but if you can understand if you can understand that, then it is like easier for you. So you can even search the code in the online, then you can apply that code. But you just need to at least understand. It is right bicrintal case with respect to bicrintal case. So what is with respect to bicrintal case, Deepak? So basically, we can always keep decision tree and directly go for random forest. That is always more accurate. I can say always. So 95% of the cases, yes, I can say. How can Jakha distance calculated? So it is also a mathematical formula, so that I can give you the distance formula. So I'm taking that Jakha distance. So I'll forward that article as well. Like Euclidean distance, this is also one kind of distance, like hammer distance. Hello, I'm thinking to do MS in data science from Ireland. What you think? I think it is good. You can do that. You'll be having great future if you go for higher studies, especially if you specialize in data science or something else, analytics field. Then it will be a big leap for you. Okay. Hi, please suggest me some books and material to understand data science. Divishri, yes, I have taken the note of this and I'll be sending, at the end of the session. How to practice the data sets? How to practice the data sets for getting concepts clear? Practice the data sets in the sense. So what I can say is, if you want to do any kind of practice data sets with respect to a model, or else you want to do a generalized thing. So if you want to do with respect to a model, some of the open source data sets are available from Google, Amazon, and all. You can download them, and you can do your experiments on those data sets. So if you want that information, yeah, I'll be noting down. So where you will get your sample data sets. Even you can follow online articles as well, like for any particular model or something. And even you can go for Kaggle. Kaggle is a website like where it will conduct hackathons. Even analytics with you also, it conducts hackathons and all. So from where you get data sets and problems as well. So try to you can practice with the data set according to that particular problem. So that will help you. What are the diversity indexes where we study? Are they necessary for business solution? What are the diversity indexes where we study? Are they necessary for business solution? Yes. So always diversity indexes are necessary for any kind of business solution, because business solution is not only that something that okay, I'll build the model and give. So you have to find out the diversity indexes and all. Correlation should be performed on pre-processed data or non-pre-processed data. So correlation, I mean, the first thing that what we do is, so after performing your pre-processing, then only you will check for correlation. Okay, because you will have the finally, so you will feed the pre-processed data to your model, right? So you have to test on your pre-processed data. Do freshers really have job openings for data science? Yes, as long as they are performing like professionals. Yes, they do have openings for data science. How Kaggle could help us? Kaggle is like it will conduct hackathons, okay, and some of the general problems of data science it will keep. So if you go to Kaggle website and see the hackathons, so what they will do is they will try to get the real-time problems on board. Okay, some of the companies what they do is if they don't have time to make project, or if they have very less resources and all, they'll try to keep some prize money and they'll post the problems, so you'll get the price. So if your model is giving you maximum accuracy, even some of the general practice problems are also available in Kaggle. Okay, just go visit Kaggle website and you can get. How to define eigenvalues and eigenvectors in a very simple language. It is nothing but a representation of a matrix. If you want to represent, matrix, yes, I can use eigenvalues and eigenvector. That is what the simple language says. How do we get to know about which distance should be calculated, like Hamilton or Euclidean extra? So see, based on your variables, okay. So it is like, if you take Euclidean distance, so it's always like, if you have, more data points with you, so sometimes what you will have is like, it will take the difference and the squares of that, and it will perform like Hamming distance. It will take, difference and try to apply the mod and all. So the idea to, implement the distance is nothing but how close the data points are, and based on your data scaling in the sense, number of scales, then so based on the number of scales also you can, use, so which one to proceed with. Or else, like some of the cases, like if you have more number of numerical variables, so in those cases Euclidean distance works better. If you have more categorical variables in your data, like Hamilton will work better. So like that. How deep we have to learn R and Python in data science, and how do both differ from each other? See, R, Python, or SAS, whatever it is, the finally the aim is to perform your analysis. Okay, so in terms of, deep, so how deep that I can say that you don't need to, develop any kind of procedures, or like, big functions, or like you don't need to do all those kind of stuff. I mean, you really don't need to apply, ideally it has to be done if you want to be professional, but at least in order to, start with, or like in order to perform your analysis, you really don't need to, write big functions, or like you don't need to develop any logics or something, because all our statistical analytical approaches or methods or tests are available with one line command away. So you just need to either remember the command, like understand it, then it will be done. So you don't need to write, okay, big scripts. But at the end of the day, if you want to be professional, about in R and Python, yes, you have to, in Python, if you have to apply OOPS concepts. So all okay. But now I don't think that if you want to be a good data scientist, it is not necessary that you need to be very strong in data. Programming. How multicollinearity affects in NaviBase? As I told you, the multicollinearity is nothing but, see, it always, multicollinearity means these two are collinear. In the sense, if you increase this, increase this. If you decrease this, decrease this. So NaviBase is always works on Bayes theorem, right? Bayes theorem is works on conditional probabilities. So conditional probability is probability of A given B. Like it's always like, you are, making one variable dependent on other. So you're calculating the value of one variable, so considering the other variables intact. So in those cases, so if these two variables are collinear, then there is a possibility that it can, if you increase or decrease this variable, this variable might be changing. So in those cases, your model will affect. So it is in terms of business, where exactly this multicollinearity applies, So let me, talk about the business of banking, or like, online trading, online, not trading, online, what do you call, like, shopping. Yeah, online shopping. So in online shopping, what we do is basically is that, see, maybe you will be, so sometimes there is an offer, like if you take the Dasara period, then yeah, Dasara is having some offer, and you'll have maximum discounts, and the number of people who bought the products are more, right? But what if the discounts are less? So here, the if you see, if your discounts are more and more people are buying it, if your discounts are less people are buying it. So these two are dependent, right? So generally, if you are trying to change one variable according to your business, okay, then you should be understanding that other variables is also getting affected here. Okay, let me think that, okay, without thinking about, okay, the number of customers, so if I change simply the, discount, so discount variable, then what will happen? Maybe some other variable, if more discounts are there, more products we need, more, because more number of people are buying. So this is what interconnected. So this helps the business in order to make, functional properly. So that is where multicollinearity affects. There is only one categorical variable, and rest all are numeric variables in the bicurrental data set can still perform VIF of operation. So Deepak, so VIF in the sense, are you referring variable inflation factor? Please confirm that. Is data scaling necessary? So data scaling, so that's what I'm saying. There is no necessity and there is no unnecessary tasks in your pre-processing. It always depends on your data. Let's say, if your data is having, one variable which is dominant variable, which is having the high scale values, then if you're calculating distance, so it will always try to, dominate it. So in order to avoid that, you have to go for this thing, data scaling. Otherwise, if your data is normal, you don't really go for data scaling. What is the visualization technique for categorical variables? So you can visualize categorical variable with bar plot. Okay, you can simply draw a bar plot and you can visualize them. So let's suppose if you take A, B, C, these are your categories. So A repeated 100 times, B repeated 150 times, C repeated 200 times. This you can simply, by using bar chart, you can visualize them. Yes. So still we have like 10 more minutes. So you can ask the questions. So whatever you need. Close this session after 10 minutes. Please ask if you have any other queries. When can you share the details for the material? After the end of the session, I'll be sharing with Kritesh. You can get it from Kritesh. So binomial probability is like you will have two nominal things. So that will be called as binomial. So multinomial in the sense you will have multiple probabilities with your hat. Binomial generally that what we use like okay, yes or no. So this kind of probabilities that we think. Please brief about random forest. Okay. So Shankar Mansal, I mean, it's not possible to explain, random forest in detail, but if you have any specific question or if you need, understand this topic, then I can send you the material. Okay, what is the visualization plot for one numeric and other numeric, and or for one numeric and another is categorical variable? No, so this is what a visualization plot. If it is a numeric, yeah, we have multiple visualization plot. Like you can plot like scatter plot and all. If it is a categorical, it is like maybe the number of accounts that you value counts bar chart that you can take it. But I didn't understand the visualization plot. I mean, you want it separately. So separately means this is the thing. The please raise a mail to support advisor and we will need all the links Adi has mentioned in the session. So do we need to send a mail to support to receive the articles and links? Yes. Difference between Rsquare and adjusted Rsquare. Yes, I'll be, so this is what in general question. So Rsquare and adjusted Rsquare is nothing but adjusted Rsquare can be useful if you build multiple models. Okay, if you build like, okay, I have 10 variables, let me tell you. So in a more generalized way, if you have 10 variables and you build the model, then you observe the R square and adjusted R square. Okay, R square, anyhow, you know what is R square, right? So adjusted R square especially is that it is, how well you can try to compare between two models. Let's suppose I have built the model with 10 variables, then you got some adjusted R square, and try to build with 9 variables, and you can get one adjusted R square. So whichever is having, close to that, then you can take that. So if you want the, like tabular format differences exactly, yes, I'll be sending this as well, R square and adjusted R square differences tabular form. So I have taken this and added in my list. Okay. If the target variable is balanced, we go for logistic regression. If imbalanced, we go for NaviBase. Otherwise, what can we do if the target class imbalance is a problem for NaviBase? See, always that if your target class is imbalanced, then what we can do is that you can, apply like upsampling and downsampling methods. Yes, upsampling and downsampling, whether it is a NaviBase, whether it is a logistic regression, whatever it is, apply the downsampling and upsampling, so it will solve your target class imbalance problem. So I joined the session late. Please tell me what is the link which you're talking about. See, the links that which we are talking about is that some of the people has asked, like which they have not understood from the materials or something. They have asked for the simpler, mm, a simpler way of articles, simpler way articles which are available in online. So those will be provided by me. Okay, I mean to say that if you want to analyze the relationship between one numeric variable versus categorical variable, what is the plot? What is this? So the thing is, I think my internet connection is getting, reconnected. So it could be the problem. Okay, thanks.